All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's very weird to see your entire bodies in giving this presentation. I'm very used to talking to myself on a screen these days. It's also been a while since I have been between lunch and a break, which is also an interesting place to be. So I have added a little bit of multimedia to the presentation. It is a presentation on technology after all, and hopefully to keep your interest listening to people other than me speak. So this is a really exciting topic for me in terms of the opportunities that we have in technology. As a CEO of Canada's Ocean Supercluster, I usually talk mainly about ocean these days, so it's exciting to talk about technology more broadly. Hopefully most of you are familiar with the Ocean Supercluster, but I thought that it might be good to update you if it's been a little while since you checked in with our activities. So the Ocean Supercluster now has almost 450 members across coast to coast to coast, which is pretty exciting. We have over 50 projects. We have almost $300 million in project activity committed, and we are attracting international attention for our cross-sectoral approach. So we're encouraging sectors to work together, regions to work together. We're seeing more and more projects across Atlantic Canada, and we are seeing more and more projects across Canada. And this is lending credibility to our members who are gaining global opportunities as a result. So I will spend a few minutes on what this supercluster is doing, because I can't resist with an audience being able to do that, but talk about technology much more broadly and really talk about what's happening here in Newfoundland and Labrador, what's happening globally, and where I think we have opportunities to be able to do more. And so this really is a conversation around opportunity. I really do believe, in addition to being the CEO of Canada's Ocean Supercluster, I spent the last 6 years on the board of TechNL, including as chair. And so I've had a front row seat to a lot of the momentum that has been building in our tech sector here in the province. And I truly believe with focus and working together that there's a lot more that we can do. So maybe let's spend just a couple minutes highlighting some of our successes, because I think that's really important. And I think that there's more and more acknowledgement that we are punching above our weight when it comes to our technology sector. So certainly many of you would be familiar with Verafin and the huge deal that they did with NASDAQ. And in fact, the CEO of NASDAQ was recently in the province, which I think is incredibly exciting, but also Genoa Design and their big announcement around being part of the design for the polar icebreaker with the Coast Guard. Or down below, Breathe Suite, as an example of our startup community. We've got Colab, who has recently raised funding. We have Clockwork Fox, that was recently sold to Carnegie Learning in Philadelphia. We've had Milk Movement, that's raised $4 million for international expansion. We've had Kraken, a $36 million contract with the Danish government. And Forbes has recently named Misa on its list for best smart thermostats. And all of this in the middle of a pandemic. This is not an exhaustive list, but I think it really demonstrates the power of our tech sector already and a momentum that we can build upon. However, this is not just ours for the taking. The world, with the pandemic, has had to very quickly digitize. It has accelerated digitization around the world, and so we have a very small window to focus on this and to do it together. And I think we've heard a lot today already of what is important to be able to do that. It is around thinking about our innovation policy. It is around thinking about making strategic investments. It is around aggressive skills development for our local workforce. And it is around attracting new skills into our workforce. This truly will be a team effort to be able to maximize the opportunity that technology represents for our province. We do have a very solid foundation, a very strong ecosystem here to be able to support companies. I thought this was a good picture. It had to go a couple years back to find in-person pictures, but this is Breathe Suite. I just mentioned they raised over $1 million. This was their first embryo grant at $15,000 a few years ago. And so I think this just really demonstrates how quickly our companies can move. And this is an example, I think, of where we have done really good things in health. We brought Hacking Health to the province, and we've had a lot of health-focused activities, and now we are seeing health-focused startups as a result. But there are lots of different organizations, and certainly you can hear, I talked about CoLab. Adam Keating had an article on LinkedIn today. Not sure if he had it today or just saw it today, but he talked about the benefits of being in Newfoundland and Labrador and building a company, why he's here, and one of those is the strength of the ecosystem here and supporting our companies. Florian's in the back with the Memorial Center for Entrepreneurship, the Genesis Center and Michelle's team and all that they have done to grow companies in the last few years, the Bounce Lab, supports from the province, the supports from the federal government, and the list goes on and on. And so that's really exciting. We have much more to do, though, to get the word out and to help people understand the opportunities that exist. So I'm going to step back for a second and talk a little bit about why technology is so important. Now, having just gone through a pandemic, maybe it's very evident why technology is important. You may have used it to stay connected to your family, to your job, to the world, to your fitness center, to your doctor, to your healthcare professional. We needed technology, and we transitioned very, very quickly because we had to. But this is not about growing the technology sector. We heard this morning Minister Cody talked about transformation. I believe, obviously I'm a fan of technology, but I believe technology and innovation is absolutely critical to the speed of transformation that we can accomplish in this province. And this is about transforming every sector, leveraging technology. This is not about growing our technology sector. And so when we think about technology companies, and Kathy talked about Shopify this morning, we do tend to think about those large brands that have built their technologies on a platform. Whether that's Airbnb, or Skip the Dishes, or Slack, or Uber, or Google, all of these are very large technology companies. But they are also companies that have used technology to disrupt traditional industries. Hotels in the case of Airbnb, Uber in transportation. But maybe a less known story is Domino's Pizza. Up until 2018, Domino's Pizza grew faster than Facebook and Apple and Google, given their technology strategy. They invested heavily in technology. I think it is one of the, if not the largest department that they have, and they have had hugely positive results. A very, very traditional sector, very traditional company that saw the value of using technology to reach its customers in a different way, and it continues to do that. And so definitely ahead of the curve when we saw all of the dining industry, restaurant industry, have to think about how to service customers in a pandemic, but they had put a lot of that infrastructure in place already. And so this is the Domino's tracker. Basically, they've set it up so you can have an icon on your phone, your order is stored. It's very customer focused. Right here at home in Canada, Canadian Tire. I had the opportunity to listen to one of the folks on the innovation team talk about what Canadian Tire was aspiring to. Their CTO came out of Bell Canada and recognized the importance of a digital strategy for the retailer. And so the example they gave, which resonated with me, because shopping at Canadian Tire is always good fun, was having to go in and buy windshield wipers. I have no idea what type of windshield wipers my car needs, and so having to buy windshield wipers is not a fun experience. But they developed an app, or we're in the process of developing an app, where I could scan my VIN number, and that scan would tell me what type of windshield wipers I needed, whether or not those windshield wipers were in stock, and what shelf I could go to find those windshield wipers. That is personalized customer experience, And that is what customers are expecting more and more, and that technology allows. And so now they are moving towards these very large self-service towers, first in Canada, to be able to continue to evolve their customer experience. So think about our companies. Let's think about our kids. I have a 12-year-old. I cannot convince her to read a book. She is not interested. That is not the way she absorbs information. She wants to see it on YouTube. It doesn't exist if it is not on YouTube. It's incredibly frustrating to be able to get her to learn and to understand how she absorbs information. But when we look at games like Roblox or Minecraft, we really need to not think of that as just playing games. Had a colleague of mine had a friend visiting from Norway. Obviously, this was a few years ago. And he said his daughter and Norwegian's daughter, around the same age, were playing Minecraft together. And what he realized was his daughter was playing Minecraft, his friend's daughter was coding Minecraft, because that is what they were learning at their school. And so thinking about how we take these online gaming experiences so our kids learn how to code and how to build their own games, rather than just using it for entertainment, is really shifting our thinking in how we engage with technology. And if you think that might not be important, we have reached 1 billion online gamers. My daughter, for fun, watches other people online. These online games pay out millions of dollars in prizes. Esports is continuing to grow globally, no surprise, in a pandemic where you continue to be able to play online. This is huge in terms of changing the face of sporting going forward. Technology is not just a sector. Technology is transforming every sector. We need to think about how we're having our conversation around careers. When you are now thinking about the medical profession, now you are potentially transplanting 3D printed kidneys. We're not quite there, kidneys, hearts, but it's not far off. Right? You are leveraging artificial intelligence in your diagnosis because no doctor can possibly retain all of that information. Sloan Kettering, as an example, leverages artificial intelligence in oncology. You will be in the surgery room next to a robot because robots are increasingly being proven to be more effective in certain surgeries. How do we have that conversation? If you're talking about being in transportation, you're looking at autonomous transportation, battery storage, reduced emissions. If you're a banker, you need to understand cryptocurrency and the future of blockchain. When I talk to my daughter about careers, she has such a traditional view of what these careers are. We have a lot of work to do as parents to change the lens and help people understand the new careers, but help people understand how traditional careers are being transformed by technology. There is no, I'm not interested in technology. Technology will be and is everywhere. I wanted to play just a quick little video. This is a video of Spot by Boston Dynamics. I love watching their videos. They've come out with several over the years, but I thought I would play one to share with you. So I didn't share this because we're all heading towards robots, but Winnipeg Police Department is actually looking at acquiring one of these robots, and it improves safety. It can go places where people can't easily go. It can obviously work 24 hours a day. And Boston Dynamics was recently acquired by Hyundai to help them in terms of taking a traditional automotive industry and leveraging, very forward-thinking robotics to be able to take them on their transformational journey. You're seeing all kinds of non-traditional partnerships. Walmart leveraging TikTok. Again, for those of you who have kids or grandkids, TikTok very popular, but Walmart has seen a huge increase in interest in their clothing as a result of working with TikTok. So we've heard a little bit about some of these reports already this morning. This is not news to us. The opportunity of technology and innovation for this province is not new. We've been hearing about it for the last few years. It is touched on in the Big Reset. It's in the technology work plan. It's in the Advanced 2030 oil and gas plan. McKinsey report talks about it. We don't need anybody else to come in and do a study and tell us how important technology and innovation is to our province, but we need to move faster. One of the reasons is there is huge opportunity. TechNL talks about the fact that there will be 2,000 technology jobs in our province in the next 3 years. We have heard that these technology jobs, I think Kathy mentioned, that these are well-paying jobs. But now our workforce is not only competing in terms of local jobs, the local job shortage, those same workers can work here for companies outside of the province, which will make it even more difficult for us to meet our people needs. So there is a huge opportunity here, and I believe we have a lot more to do to help people understand the opportunity that exists to really tell our story and to really tell our quality of life story. I am a Newfoundlander by choice, or I'm a Newfoundlander by choosing my husband, perhaps. But we need people to understand this is what you get to wake up to. This is where you get to work. This is the community that you get to be a part of, which is incredibly exciting. So one comment for you today is focus. So this is an example from Iceland, and this is the fish house in Iceland. And one of the challenges that, certainly in the conversations that I've been a part of over the last few years, is, well, we don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to leave anybody out by focusing. I believe we should be equipping every Newfoundlander and Labradorian with the tools that they need to be able to build a world-class tech company. And I believe that many of those tools already exist. But when we talk about focus, the focus is how are we world-renowned in terms of attracting talent and investment disproportionately in a particular area. Because when you think about technology, the first place you think to invest is probably not Newfoundland and Labrador. Maybe it's going to be Silicon Valley, maybe it's going to be Waterloo and Communitech, maybe it's going to be Boston. But for us to be able to attract the people and the investment that we're trying to attract, we need to be focused. And this fish house is focused on marine waste. So small country, Iceland, they said they were going to focus on reducing marine waste to get to 100% use of marine waste. They went from 12 companies in 2012 to 70 companies now focused on that one objective. They are developing products across this circle, whether it's in seafood, fish leather, medical products, cosmetics. They now have a second location in the United States. They work with students, they work with startups, they attract interest internationally, and they are creating world-class technology. From the research that we have seen, hyper-focus and reducing your focus even more narrowly is how the innovation hubs that are successful around the world are succeeding. We need to think about, I think, where our focus should be. And one of the areas that I think there's an opportunity for us to focus is certainly to build on our strengths when it comes to harsh environment and the trend towards remote operations. This is not a new conversation. It is a conversation that has continued over the last few years, but we risk, I think, we either learn how to be the monitors of our offshore and how we can monitor the world from Newfoundland and Labrador, or we risk that our assets will actually be monitored somewhere else in the world. So we need to move quickly in thinking about our focus and think about what that means for the environment, for safety, our people, for growth, and for the sectors that are already of importance to this province. Here's an example of mining, or offshore energy, aquaculture, fisheries, and the list goes on. There is a lot of innovation that is happening here, but we have a real opportunity to put our arms around it and brand it differently so that we can accelerate attracting talent and investment from the rest of the world. So with that, I am going to spend a few minutes on the Ocean Supercluster before I get to my final comments. So here's a few of our projects. We are at I think we are at 13 projects that are being led in Newfoundland and Labrador. So I mentioned that we have over 50 overall. So these are a sample of those that are being led here. Anything from underwater robots, DNA analysis, digital twins, ice thickness, real-time information gathering, virtual reality, and development of remote operations. And one of the reasons I think I'm passionate about remote operations is that that was one of our areas of investment in our program, our call for proposals earlier in 2020, because we saw that as an area that would accelerate with the pandemic as we had a challenge around getting workers. So here's a quick video that I wanted to play that allows you to hear from those project leads directly in terms of what those projects are doing. What's really unique about our cluster is that we are all about cross-sectoral collaboration.
We are fortunate to have such amazing technology, research, and development resources here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And all that capacity, coupled with our people, make this province one of the best places to grow an ocean technology company.
To be teaming up with Petroleum Research, Newfoundland and Labrador, with Rudder, with the Marine Institute here at Memorial University, it's been a huge accomplishment for us to work with these international partners and to really be the driving force behind enhancing safe marine navigation in a global environment.
The outcome of the OOT project will give mariners a full suite of radar tools, allowing for data to be shared and disseminated and via the internet wherever you are in the world.
Company's going from 10 employees to several hundred in a couple of years with really deep technical expertise. It starts building its own supply chain and its own ecosystem. And I think doing that here allows people first to stay here and then actually bring opportunities into the region.
Through that, we have a lot of HQPs, a lot of engineers, a lot of software people, production people that have come to the company because of Ocean Vision. But in order to support that, we also need to support our supply team, our admin team. And we're not stopping. We have interviews ongoing today for some new positions.
Some of the benefits of this project are the development of an easier way to hybridize the world's existing fishing vessel fleet, the expansion of Production's research and development capacity in the province, and we're creating 5 new jobs in Newfoundland and Labrador, with the potential of creating hundreds of jobs in the retrofit hybridization sector.
ED&A Tech is providing biodiversity monitoring solutions to offshore oil and gas operations in various locations. The Ocean DNA system will tackle key technological innovations in the use of genomics for the detection and tracking of socioeconomically important species and their habitats in the ocean. The project will also develop new methods that can determine the location and abundance of commercially valuable species.
This is an impactful project. Working with our partners, Survival Systems Training Limited and Memorial University, and with the help of MyTax, we're going to bring highly immersive training simulators online so people can train remotely on the use of fast response craft, lifeboat, and navigation equipment trainers.
This project will accelerate digital transformation in our oil and gas industry, creating enhanced safety, greater productivity, and reducing our footprint. Petroleum Research Newfoundland and Labrador is leading this project and will work together with its partners, Hatch Limited, MNP, Virtual Marine, GRI Simulations, and delivered in collaboration with Memorial University of Newfoundland.
It trains and employs Inuit youth to assemble our smart buoys for distribution to communities all across northern Canada. So when they open a box with a smart buoy, the first thing they read is a sticker on it that says made by Inuit youth for Inuit in Canada.
The interesting part that we see in it not only is the technology side, but the end result is we will deliver that system in partnership with Cougar here to St. John's. It'll reside at the St. John's hangar, and it will be a commercial simulator for training SARTECs worldwide.
From the 4 core activities in our project, we expect to help more than 30 new ocean technology companies flourish and grow in Atlantic Canada.
This project means more good-paying jobs in rural communities.
Subsea is motivated to ensure this project is successful so that we can diversify and support the aquaculture market sector. Our goal is to provide this net health monitoring system to clients around the globe while supporting the local economy. All of the equipment and software will be designed here, built here, and exported worldwide. As a company based in rural Newfoundland, we are excited for the launch of this project and the many local benefits it will bring.
So I truly believe that we are just scratching the surface of what we can accomplish if we do it quickly and we do it together. I often say that this is Canada's time when it comes specifically to ocean, but as a resident of this province, I truly believe that the time for Newfoundland and Labrador is now. We have a road to economic recovery. We have a window where we have an opportunity to truly transform ourselves. And so I've talked about the importance of focus and the importance of momentum going as fast as we can. Just want to leave you with a couple of other thoughts. One is on mindset. I think we've heard this a couple times today already, but it's really not about who owns it. Peter Diamandis, who is the CEO of XPRIZE or founder of XPRIZE, he talks about this mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. We need a mindset of abundance. We need to celebrate every win because it's not only a win for the individual or the company, it is a win for the province. It attracts attention, it attracts people, it attracts interest. And so we should be celebrating those wins and building up each other as we build the pie together. We also need to set aside our fear that technology is taking away jobs. It is certainly changing jobs, but I've talked about the opportunities that exist, and we've heard multiple times today we're short on people. Technology is actually a win for us in this province in terms of being able to continue to grow and be productive, which I think is incredibly exciting. Again, I'll reinforce the focus on people. This is twofold in terms of attracting people both to the province and to the sector. We need to be inclusive. We need all perspectives when it comes to technology so that we're able to actually develop technology properly. That's our Indigenous people, women, newcomers, everyone to bring their perspectives to this problem. And we need to educate. Talked about our kids, the programs in our schools that continue to grow, our post-secondary education, Kean College and College of the North Atlantic who are developing software developer programs to meet the needs of our companies. We're going to hear from Vianne Timmons this afternoon talking about the university. We've seen the university provide incredible leadership in other cities. And also fully leveraging the investments that we've made, whether that is the Emissions Reduction Fund, the Ocean Supercluster projects, Holyrood, the Harsh Environment Research Center. We need to connect our dots, and we need to not duplicate effort. We need to understand the gaps and work together to fill them as quickly as possible so that we don't slow ourselves down. Now is the time to think big and to be bold. Technology moves fast. We need to move fast as well. We are small and we can be nimble, but we have to put all the people together to work together to develop the solutions and not have the conversation over and over again in terms of figuring out where we need to go. So I will leave you with this, which is, when it comes to technology for this province, now is the time to put our foot on the gas. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kendra. We've got time for a few questions. Got one here on the floor already.
Hello, my name is Matt. You mentioned about automated vehicles. Well, one of the things with that is, like, if an unplanned situation occurred, like, say in the road, if there's a concrete barrier on one side and a little kid on the other side of the road, and you have a choice to make as to what one you hit, there's an ethical issue. Some people would say save your own life and hit the barrier. Other people would say hit the kid. But why should a robot get to decide who lived and who done it? And another part you said about how technology don't take away jobs. If you look at a lot of stores that have the self-checkouts, they take away jobs from minimum wage and low earners. Technology, a lot of jobs tend to be for people who have higher levels of education. So how can we make sure that with technology that there's also jobs for people of lower levels of earnings? Thank you.
Yeah, so those are great questions. So maybe I'll talk about your automation question first. I think that it gets even more complicated if you're going to choose whether or not you're going to kill the old woman or you're going to kill the child. And so while autonomous vehicles have been shown to be much safer overall, because actually the robots generally make better decisions than humans, according to the research, they can't go fully. That is one of the reasons we need as many perspectives as possible that are developing the algorithms so that we consider all the different facets of that. So that is a perfectly fair question and a definite challenge, because the robot's only going to do what it's programmed to do based on the algorithms, and ultimately that is programmed by people. Your comment on minimum wage jobs is absolutely fair, and I am not saying that this is not a problem for jobs in the world. What I am saying is it is less of a problem here in terms of our market. One, because we are short on people. Two, because there's a lot of those jobs that our people don't want to be doing. So if you take an example of fish processing, for example, there are fewer workers. They're having trouble finding workers to be able to do those jobs. So putting automated solutions into those jobs is not displacing workers, but we also have to reskill. And there's been programs around the world that have demonstrated that you can reskill those workers to be able to play different roles in a more automated economy. But there was, prior to the pandemic, sort of a charter of tech for good for the country that was really focused on making sure that nobody is left behind on this technology journey.
You have another question? Yep. Just introduce yourself.
Everett Banksy. This particular question, by the way, I love the technology stuff. I've been at it all my life. But this particular question has to do with a different branch of the technology, okay, more information technology in that rather than. One of our biggest problems, especially in Newfoundland, is transparency. Okay, most of the difficulty we're in, and it was alluded to in some of the conversation earlier, has to do with bad decisions, and bad decisions usually come about with not gathering enough information in the first case. Can you, I'll try to make a direct question because I do have difficulty. Can you tell me what the world situation is with respect to using technology to improve transparency in government?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I don't know if I'm up to date on the world in terms of everything that's happening, but there's no question that we are seeing more and more data that is being leveraged to provide more information to citizens so they can make more informed decisions and to be able to provide more input. There is an argument, maybe I shouldn't say this as we're heading into a federal election, and it's been a little while since I looked into this, but there is an argument that you could go to the citizens based on technology for individual votes rather than just kind of voting in your politician and trusting them to make your decisions for you. The technology is there now to get more input from citizens on individual big decisions in a way that we've never done before.
And we'll take one final question here.
Stephen Tomlin, retired policy wonk. I was very interested in the presentation, and particularly the kind of the conflicts between function versus old forms, which I think is really what we're talking about. Transformation is really a contest, and often a zero-sum contest between those old kind of structures and cultures and industries and economies and the rest of it. And what you've captured there is, again, we have this real struggle currently taking place. So I guess my question is, what are the kind of venues, what are the kind of things we need to do in order to recognize or pull together some of the challenges involving function, technology? Most issues or problems, pandemics, go across borders or boundaries, climate change and the rest of it. So how do we actually manage this? And I think Newfoundland and Labrador, in many respects, is really in this kind of battle between the new economy, technology, changes which are occurring and required externally, but how to manage it, how to survive as a result of, again, this incredible challenge in terms of how do we go from here to there without destroying what people have interest in or there's institutional support for, those old sources of power. So how do we do that? How do we manage that kind of transformation or change?
Yeah, so best I can say is based on what I've seen with other jurisdictions, they are bringing the various perspectives into the room. So strong leadership, so whether that is at the municipal level or the provincial level in terms of bringing folks together, but getting all those perspectives around the table so that you're not leaving someone behind. So I have seen, whether it's out west or Halifax or PEI, for example, as examples of where they bring, I'm not saying any of them is perfect, but they have really done, from what I've seen, a very good job at bringing decision makers from multiple perspectives, talking about what are the pros and cons, and then getting alignment on how they want to move forward. And once they've achieved that alignment, they've got it across the academic community plus the government community plus the industry community, which allows you to move a lot faster. So that's not easy or perfect, but that's where it's the dialogue that is incredibly important to the journey.